In this video, I'm going to be going over some rare and often forgotten vehicles in Forza Horizon 5. These are cars that are pretty hard to find, especially as they're not currently part of the Backstage Pass and aren't currently available in-game. However, that could obviously change in the future, and hopefully some of these vehicles will make their way to the Backstage Pass. Anyway, let's get started with the first vehicle. The first vehicle is going to be the Rivian R1T, and this truck was only available once back in Series 25 as a reward from an event lab called Mudslinger Scramble. Since then, it has not appeared anywhere else. It was released alongside the SUV version of this vehicle, which you can actually get through the Backstage Pass. So technically you can still get this vehicle, just not the truck version, for now at least anyway. I do think this vehicle will make an appearance again at some point, maybe it get added to the Backstage Pass or something, or maybe it will appear as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle. Either way, I do think that this vehicle will make an appearance again. At least currently anyway, it's a forgotten vehicle and one that's actually pretty rare. Next up is going to be the Myers Manx 2.0 EV. This one came out around the same time in Series 26 as a 20-point seasonal milestone reward vehicle and hasn't appeared since then. Like the Rivian R1T, it's an electric vehicle, which is probably why most players have kind of forgot about it. It's also a bit of a strange one too, as I think there is a petrol version with like an aircraft engine, but obviously in game we only got the electric version, which is obviously why most people don't really care that much about it. I don't think I've ever seen anyone driving one, and I don't really see people talk about it when it comes to rare vehicles. So yeah, this one is kind of a forgotten vehicle really. And that's probably why this vehicle has been largely forgotten. People just don't really care about electric vehicles in this game unless they're very fast or very cool. Next up is going to be the Hyundai Ioniq 6, and once again it's an electric vehicle that didn't really grab much attention. It only appeared in Series 30 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle and hasn't returned since then. It's pretty rare and I doubt many players even remember it. It's not exactly exciting, definitely not that sporty, and it's just basically there pretty much. Yeah, this one definitely feels like a PR move by Hyundai. There is actually a sportier, upgraded version of this vehicle in real life, so it's kind of strange that they decided to include this vehicle in the game as opposed to that one. Maybe they thought that including this will make the vehicle sell better or something. But yeah, I definitely think that this is a PR move by Hyundai to include this vehicle in the game, as I doubt many players were asking for this vehicle. As a result, this vehicle has become forgotten and actually pretty rare. I don't think this one's going to be returning anytime soon. Next up we got the Lotus Esprit Turbo. This one only appeared in Series 34 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle and hasn't returned since then. This is actually a vehicle that I think a lot of players do want to see return. It's sporty and interesting, and I do think that it will return at some point, especially as the more modern version of this vehicle currently, at the time of this video's recording, is actually available to be voted on the Backstage Pass. So yeah, I do think this vehicle will make an appearance again at some point in the game. Another Lotus on this list is going to be the Lotus 340R, and surprisingly this car has not returned since Series 28, where it was available as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle. It's pretty interesting and fairly obscure, which makes it even weirder that this hasn't came back. I do think that this will be added to the Backstage Pass eventually, maybe with the Lotus Esprit Turbo or something, or probably not that, but yeah, I do think this vehicle will come back as it's pretty obscure, interesting, and just a generally cool car that deserves another chance to show up in this game. I should also probably add that this is one of those vehicles that I completely forgot was in the game, and I'm pretty sure most other players have as well. Another vehicle that I'm really surprised hasn't returned is actually going to be the Audi RS e-tron. This was added back in Series 12 as a series milestone reward vehicle and hasn't returned since. I'm honestly kind of surprised that this one has never came back, as it feels like the kind of car that should come back, but yeah, for whatever reason this vehicle has never shown up again. I do think there's a good chance that this vehicle will make an appearance again, either through the Backstage Pass or as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle. But yeah, at least currently anyway, this is a pretty rare vehicle and I doubt many players actually own it. Next up is going to be the GMC Hummer EV pickup, and this one was added in Series 21 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle, and I think it's pretty clear why this one has not returned. Not long after it was released, maybe even a week after, we actually got a Barbie version of this vehicle as part of the movie tie-in for the Barbie movie. The Barbie version of this truck is basically the same vehicle, just with some decals on the side and a cowhide steering wheel, so technically the Hummer EV itself isn't rare, it's just the original version of this vehicle which is rare, which is why it's on this list. The Barbie version can also be bought from the auto show, and because of that I don't think the original is going to be coming back anytime soon, since there's already a version of this truck that's easily available. However, I do hope that it does come back, because I'm pretty sure a lot of players actually missed this vehicle when it first came out, so hopefully there will be a second chance to get this vehicle again. Hopefully it'll be added to the Backstage Pass actually, because that will be pretty cool, or maybe it'll just be added as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle at some point. Either way, hopefully this vehicle will return. What about the 2020 Jaguar F-Type SVR? This car was released in Series 32 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle and hasn't returned since. This is another one that I completely forgot about, and I'm pretty sure most other players did as well. There's not really a whole lot to say about it. It's a Jaguar, it's kind of interesting I guess, but at the same time there's nothing really about it. It doesn't really stand out, so it's very easy to forget. I don't even remember unlocking this vehicle, so yeah, I think this is just a pretty forgettable vehicle. I don't think it'll be coming back anytime soon, but I could be wrong. Maybe it'll get added to the Backstage Pass or something. But yeah, this vehicle is just an easily forgettable vehicle, and I'm pretty sure most players have completely forgot about it. I know I certainly did. The BMW M4 CS was added in Series 41 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle and has not returned since then. It really does actually surprise me. I really was expecting this vehicle to come back by now, but obviously it just hasn't. The same goes for the Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG wagon from Series 41, which also has not returned. I'm fairly certain both of these will show up again at some point, but it seems a little bit strange that they're still missing. Pretty much every single other vehicle from Series 41 has returned in some way, so it really does feel like it's only a matter of time before both of these vehicles make an appearance again, as they're both pretty cool vehicles and I definitely would like to see them return. The Hyundai Kona N was a seasonal milestone reward in Series 30 and it has not returned since. It's a crossover, which means most players probably don't really care that much about it, and it feels like another PR move by Hyundai. However, technically it is a rare vehicle, which is why it's on this list. We might as well get this one out of the way as well. This is the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, and this one came from Series 35 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle and has not returned since then. The only really interesting thing about this vehicle is that it has a drift mode, but aside from that there's really nothing else to this vehicle, and I doubt many players are really interested in it. I know I certainly forgot this vehicle was even in the game, and I'm pretty sure most other players have as well. The Alfa Romeo 8C Compensoni was added in Series 24 and has not returned since then, and I know I just butchered that name. This is one that a lot of players want to see come back, and hopefully it does, because I do think it is actually a pretty good vehicle. It's not a bad car at all, and it definitely deserves another chance to show up in the game, and I really would like to see this vehicle return at some point, and I do think it will. The 2003 Ford Mustang S3T Cobra only appeared once in Series 32 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle and has not returned since then. However, I do think this one will come back eventually. The 1995 version is already available through the Backstage Pass, so it feels like it's only a matter of time before this vehicle makes a return, and hopefully it does return, because it's actually a pretty cool car and I definitely would like to see it brought back. Next up is going to be the Spanier GTA Spano. This is a Series 29 seasonal milestone reward vehicle and hasn't returned since then. I will be honest, I don't really know a whole lot about this car. It's a pretty obscure hypercar and I've only driven it a handful of times. However, it does feel actually good to drive, so at least there's that I suppose. I don't think this one will come back anytime soon because, well, I just don't think people are really interested in this vehicle. I suppose it could come back as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle or something, but aside from that, yeah, I don't think this one's going to return anytime soon, unfortunately. Another vehicle I'm pretty sure most players have completely forgot about is going to be the Citroen DS23. This car was added in Series 31 as part of a special event called the Cult Legends Championship and has not returned since then. It's a really obscure and rare vehicle, and I won't be surprised if a lot of players don't even know it's in the game. What about the Ford 66 Ford Racing GT Le Mans? This is an actual race car that was added in Series 33 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle and has not returned since then. I don't really have much to say about it as it's a race car, but I suppose it looks cool, so at least there's that, and it seems to handle okay as well. So yeah, hopefully they bring this vehicle back at some point, I guess. Next up is going to be the Ford Bronco Raptor. This is basically the four-door version of the Bronco that we have in game, and it was added in Series 26 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle. It handles pretty well off-road and looks great, so it's a bit surprising that this vehicle has yet to return. Hopefully this will come back at some point in the future. Both the Ford F-150 Raptor R and Ford Mustang GT were available as rewards in Series 32, and neither of them have returned since then. I do think the Mustang GT will likely reappear at some point, however I'm not entirely sure about the F-150 Raptor R, as that seems kind of like a standard version of the Ford F-150 that's already in the game, which makes it less likely to appear in my opinion. I could be wrong, and hopefully I am, but I definitely would expect the Mustang GT to return before the Raptor R. What about the Toyota Sports 800? This was a car that was released back in Series 17 and is both very small and very rare. I doubt many players know this car even exists, and I honestly didn't know about it until I unlocked it in the game, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't even realise that it's in Forza Horizon 5 at all. Because of that, it's easily one of the most rare and forgotten vehicles in the game. The Lamborghini Countach LP1 804 was added in Series 32 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle, and it hasn't returned since then. This is obviously a really famous and really popular car, so I'm kind of surprised it's not made a comeback as of yet. I do think this will return sooner rather than later, however, as it feels like a perfect candidate for the Backstage Pass. So yeah, I would be very surprised if this vehicle doesn't come back at some point, as it just seems like the kind of car that would. The Mercedes-AMG GT Black Series was added in Series 22 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle and hasn't returned since then. For some reason, somehow I ended up with two of these vehicles, which I don't understand how I did that, but yeah, apparently I own two of these vehicles. Also, when this vehicle was first released, it actually had a bug where the engine swap for this vehicle was really expensive. Obviously that got patched out pretty quickly. And aside from that, there's really nothing else to say about this vehicle other than it's rare and currently not available on the Backstage Pass. What about the Lynk & Co 02 hatchback? This car was added in Series 30 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle and hasn't returned since then. Lynk & Co is a Chinese brand, so that's probably a reason why not a lot of players really care that much about this vehicle. And obviously it's a pretty obscure hatchback basically, so yeah, not a lot of people really care that much about these kind of cars anyway, so that's probably the reason why it's not returned. However, I definitely would like to see this vehicle return. It's not a terrible vehicle, and I certainly could see it being added to the Backstage Pass at some point. It's obscure, a little weird and easy to forget, but that's exactly why it deserves another chance to show up in this game. Moving on to the Subaru SVX, this was added in Series 49 as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle and hasn't returned since then. However, it was actually available for vote on the Backstage Pass fairly recently. Unfortunately, obviously it didn't win, which means it's still pretty rare. However, I do think this one will come back at some point. It's definitely on their radar, and it just seems like it will return at some point in the future. I definitely would like to see this vehicle return, as I do think it's a pretty cool and obscure vehicle, so hopefully it does. Next up is going to be the Aston Martin Valkyrie. This car was added in Series 28 as part of the Horizon Secret Santa milestone and hasn't reappeared since. I'm fairly certain this car will come back at some point, as it's a really popular car and definitely something that a lot of players would like another chance to get. I'm fairly certain that this vehicle will appear as a Backstage Pass vehicle, or maybe as a seasonal milestone reward vehicle or something along those lines. I don't know, it just seems very likely that this vehicle will make another appearance again at some point. So I think that's going to be it for this video. I'm pretty sure there probably are some other vehicles that I've completely missed, so if you do know any that I haven't mentioned, feel free to let me know down in the comments. Please be sure to like, comment and subscribe and do all that sort of stuff, and hopefully I will see you next time.